One, thank you all for being troopers and having lots of endurance today. We know we covered a lot of ground and we still only scratched the surface of several things. There are a lot of these topics that really could have been half days, if not day long topics by themselves. So thank you for bearing with us. One thing I want to put in front of you all just to try to tie some of this together. So here's the question. Where does innovation happen? And this is kind of pulling together some of the things we talked about today. It happens at the intersection of where the model lives and where the app runs. And so if you think about a lot of the things we talked about today, we talked about Vertex, we talked about GKE, we talked about Cloud Run, but the reality is a lot of people are only talking about the left side of this diagram, right? The sauce or the spice, but you got to talk about the dish. And so to wrap it up, the easiest way to build a Gen AI application is that top dotted line, Vertex and Cloud Run, right? And you saw that from Lisa's demo, you saw that from Neva's demo, but you can also drop down on either side to leverage GKE. So really any of those dotted lines are logical platforms to build a Gen AI application, right? And unless you have both of those sides, you really don't have the magic happening. So we got to make sure we're looking at both of those. So we call this the crisscross diagram. So just keep that in mind. Lots of flexibility, and depending on where you are in your journey and how much you want to control, you might do a different iteration of this. We see customers that even have multiple versions of this in place at the same time. For a certain type of app, you might want to have everything in GKE because you might run Gemma in GKE, for example, and then that's already your runtime. In other cases, you've got a development team that doesn't have a platform team behind them, and they just want to leverage something like Vertex and Cloud Run. And you've got all sorts of other things that mix and match. So some final thoughts. So we talked about leveraging AI today a few different ways on the platform, in the platform, and in your SDLC. And I think it's important to level set when we want to talk about AI, all of those can be valid, right? So we saw Cloud Assist, Code Assist, you saw Vertex, you saw GKA, you saw Cloud Run all involved in AI workloads. Remember where innovation happens, you need the model and the app. We talked about AI not being the thing, right? It's the thing that makes the thing better. We want to be your transformation partner, not just your technology provider. There are lots of things that I thought Nima's transparency was really powerful. There are lots of ways that you can do things, and some of the stuff we have to figure out together because there are multiple options, and Google tries to give a lot of two-way door decisions where you're not locked into technical debt or going down a dead-end street. And then I want to give you this last one. So there's a slide I took off here. I had another Bobby is in my cutout, but I'm going to give it to you anyway, which is which kind of debt are we talking about? Technical debt is I don't like what I'm running. Data debt is I don't know what I'm running. Brain debt is I don't know what I want. And brain debt is what a lot of us are struggling with right now. And the danger is, I'm borrowing from my GM, Hen Goldberg, who's a juggernaut in the Kubernetes space. Our capabilities, your possibilities. We can talk about this tech stuff all day long, but if you don't think about what you actually want to do, if you don't think about the customer use case you're trying to solve, this will just feel like a bunch of Lego blocks with no plan. So this is really important for anyone listening, for any customer. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? Whose face can you see that you're making something better for, right? People process technology, who's heard that? I don't like that. I like people process problem. And technology is almost like the electricity behind the walls. You don't talk about it, you talk about what you do with it. So we threw a lot of tech at you today, but the ultimate goal is customer outcomes, value for people. Yes, experiment, but think about the end goal in terms of what we're trying to do. So thank you all very much for being a great audience in the room and online. And so I'll leave you with this. Hit the URL, access the QR code if you want to play around with any of the things we talked about today. We'd be happy to get you access to answer your questions and see how we can help you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.